First of all, thank you for allowing me just to be a part of the day.
I forgot to tell you, 15 months in Iraq, during the surge, in Bakuba, which their territory that they were supposed to be controlling was as big as the state of New Jersey. Wow.
Yeah, so thanks. Again, thank you for allowing me to be here. 20 years in the United States Infantry, Ranger qualified infantryman. I did not serve in the regiment, but I feel a little bit of your brotherhood here and being here, and I want to thank you for allowing me to be here. As my dad said, he commissioned me to build this. How did I get into building furniture as a kind of a story? But I want to talk about a project that I'm doing right now that this is part of, and actually you are part of. You are the very first commissioned piece for a nonprofit that I've started called Chairs of Honor. And the whole premise behind this nonprofit is to capture moments of honor for veterans through the creation of a unique chair for them, and then filming their history, filming their story, and allowing them to tell it firsthand, so that then that story stays with that piece of furniture for the rest of its life and is passed on from generation to generation. So if you go over to the cabinet, you'll see a little QR code attached to the cabinet. That's how we're going to do it right now with the chairs. So how did this idea come about? So as my dad said, I served in Iraq and Bakuba, and every night after missions, the command team, I was a S3 at the time, the command team, battalion commander, XO, and sergeant major, we just would sit at our hooches and rocking chairs that were made there for us by a local craftsman in Iraq, and we would just sit, smoke our cigars and pipes or whatever we wanted, and just decompress. And I think a lot of you service members can appreciate this. There's just times when you have to sit and forget about the day. And we would just talk about our families, our lives, what we dreamed about, those kind of things. So that was impactful. That was the only way we had, and the only people we had that we could cope with what was happening around us. And I think you can appreciate that from many of you. So fast forward, 15 years later, and Mo Goins, the battalion commander, rose to the rank of colonel, commanded an airborne brigade up in Alaska, called me, and he's retired now. He said, "Hey, I've been thinking about our time. I've been thinking about us just sitting there on the hooch and talking and sharing stories. I want you to build me a rocking chair." I said, "Okay, I'll build you a rocking chair." So for 2 hours, we just talked on the phone. And all we did was tell stories to each other about our time and what we did there, and the soldiers we tried to remember. We lost 28 soldiers in our battalion, 110 KIAs in our brigade. So we just sat time and just remembered those times and tried to honor them and their memories. And that was the genesis of this idea of Chairs of Honor. How can I, a single craftsman, enlist others that are craftspeople and say, how can we honor the generation and not forget our stories? Because every story matters to me, and every story should matter to our nation. Because the stories are what make up the tapestry of duty, honor, and country. It's not this all big units doing great things. No, it's individuals doing stuff. And those stories need to be cherished, they need to be captured, and they need to be shared. And so Chairs of Honor, that's what we're about. We're about two things: preserving honor, and then preserving the craft of individual craftsmen building heirloom quality furniture and a lost art that's really in our country. So that's what I'm about and why I'm here. So how do you get involved in this? Well, two things. One, I want to capture your story. So I'm filming individual stories today, and all we're going to do is sit down out under the tree, and you're just going to share a story with me. I'd like it to be about Alpha Company, because I'm going to attach it to this box, and whoever gets this box is going to always have that memory. You'll have it as well, but if it's not about Alpha Company, that's okay. And then I need other people to come alongside us in this nonprofit. What do I need? I need two things, really. I need other veterans who are willing to sit down and say, I want a chair and I want to share my story. Or your family. Maybe you don't think you deserve a chair, but your family wants one. So I need that, because that creates a demand signal for me to bring in funding, as well as to bring in craftspeople make these chairs. And my goal, my big strategic goal is to see in 18 months to see 100 chairs out in our country. And then we're going to showcase those chairs in 2 ways. One, we're going to do a digital gallery once a year around Veterans Day for all the previous chairs made in that year. And so we'll share that and make that kind of a cool digital event where people can come in and see a gallery, if you will, of the stories and the chairs. And then the second, around Memorial Day, we'll produce a print publication which will highlight the veterans and the makers. And so we can highlight the makers and what they do, as well as the veterans and their stories. And that we're going to call Memento Honus, which is, as you see on my shirt, is the Latin for moment of honor. And that's really all that this is about. So that's 2 things you can do to help me. And the third is, if you know people that would be interested in what this project is about, just get on the website, chairsofhonor.com, and you can put in the contact card and say, I have some people that I want you to meet. Whether it's a veterans organization, a company that you think would benefit from helping us or want to help us with what we're doing. Each chair that we're going to produce costs about $5,000 total when we talk about paying the craftsperson and the videographer and everything else. It's about $5,000 depending on the style of chair that we want to build. So it does take some resources. So I need partners. So those are really the 2 to 3 things that I ask you to think about helping us out about and with Chairs of Honor and where I'm heading with it. So I want to thank you for allowing me to be a part of this and want you to know that Alpha Company will forever be the first Chairs of Honor recipient of an item. And you are in a great place to help us grow this and see it come to fruition. So thank you.